5 o'clock. Tom, did you have time to read the minutes yet, or are you still gonna read them?
Don't think I read it
Okay. So we'll skip over the minutes, and we're signing the warrants, which Art and I already signed. You got the warrants there, and the refunds.
I'm all set with the minutes. I'll make a motion to accept them as written for November 2nd, 2020.
Second.
All right, all in favor? Aye. So, next thing on the agenda here is to sign the warrants, and that, and there, you got them all over there, Tom, you've already signed them. There's some rebates and refunds and while Tom is signing those, after the warrants are signed, and that, the next thing on there is the pay raises. Do you want to explain what's going on with that?
Well, I'm guessing everybody's taking a zero, and the memo had the wrong date, so she sent her a thing asking to clarify that, and it's next year they want everybody to take a zero pay raise.
Now, in the contract that we signed with you guys, did we already,
So there's one embedded, but I don't have an issue with it. We'll just, in January, when we usually redo it, we'll just zero it out, but what I want is the 2022 number left alone. Because this year, we're gonna, we do what other departments don't do. We do our own engineering in-house. Like right now, we're changing the VFD out at Norman Ave. That we did ourselves. We didn't hire an engineering firm to do that. There's a risk in a resiliency assessment coming up. It's due June 30th of 2021. So it's due this June coming up. I want to do that in-house. It's also tied to the emergency response plan, has to be modified to it. So they both have to be certified. So I want to, with Kerry, we're going to do that in-house ourselves also. So those would be kind of our goals. So rather than have goals with additional things, just left the raises set the way they are. We'll take the zero for the next year, and then the year after we'll pick up, so it would have gone like, it would be like 4%, I think. Whatever it was built in, I didn't have time to look at it.
Was the stuff they were talking about though for like you and Kerry, or was it for the other guys?
It's everybody.
It's everyone.
Yeah, did you get that email from?
Yeah.
Yeah, they want to do zero for everybody. Well, I think we ought to hold off and see if everybody does go with zero. If they do, then we should do the same thing. But let's make sure that David Gagné and the rest of them are going to take zero.
Kerry, did you ask them to come tonight?
Did I ask them to come? I didn't.
Okay.
She said if we needed them to, but,
I mean, I can't see anybody getting through FinCom or through town meeting if everybody took a zero and somebody stands up.
No, but what they do sometimes is
Well, they have other
they
ways
get
of
something
hiding.
before the fiscal year to bump it up for themselves.
Well, most of theirs are all hidden, it's hard to find theirs.
No, it's not.
Ours are kind of blatant.
It's all, it's under the right to know. You
Yeah.
can get down there and
Yeah,
ask,
yeah.
ask them for their, for their W-2, and
Right.
find out exactly what everybody's making, and,
I didn't have an issue with it.
okay, well, I don't have, if you don't have an issue with it, I don't have an issue with it, I just wanna make sure that everybody's treated the same.
Yeah.
Do you have something that has the wording? I'll make the motion, but I want the wording to be right.
I just have the email, there's no,
But it says,
email.
as far as like, we have, what, the fiscal year,
Well, you don't have to, until we modify our contracts, there's
That's
nothing
what we
really
have
has to
to
be
do.
done. You know, I'm not arguing it, Terry's not arguing it.
okay, so we don't actually have to,
No, you don't have to do anything.
it'll be in the next one that we set up.
Right, but, you know, in January when we do it, we'll redo the contract, and we'll put a zero in there. And, you know, for next year.
So your contract numbers will have to be changed
Yeah.
when the time comes.
Those parts still haven't come in either, it's a V10 motor.
Oh, it is.
Was that the generator?
Yeah. I know because it began dialing us when the power went out yesterday.
So they've already ordered the parts?
They have ordered the parts, yeah.
So tell me again, how much was the water pump?
I think it was like $700. Water
It's
pump.
just a Ford V10 engine.
Yeah, $839.28.
And what other parts did they need?
Some seal water pump, a thermostat gasket.
How much was the
valve.
thermostat?
The exhaust blanket, which is not a normal insulation blanket, you could see it in the pictures there. is-
How much was the thermostat?
The thermostat was $26.
And the exhaust blankets?
That was,
Was it 400 a piece or something?
yeah, there's two, so it was $969, or $484 a piece.
Okay, don't give those things away.
No, that's not a lot of money, that little exhaust blanket.
No, it's,
Even the water pump for $839.
I know,
I'll find out. It's just a Ford motor. I know a Ford mechanic. I'll ask him.
yeah.
Yeah, so it's just the Ford V10. Oh, maybe it is $800.
You all set there, Tom,
Yep.
with that? So that's the end of the new business. Old business, the Hayfield contract. What do you hear on that, Kerry?
I sent a letter to, Mark McLeod last week, telling him, like, I sent a copy of the minutes of the vote that, you reduced it to $450, and if he wants to continue, well, he has to pay, he wants to continue, paying to come in. Let us know.
Oh,
He said he did, but,
I also found out who gave them permission for the school, that it was Phyllis.
No?
Phyllis. She gave the school
Well, Phyllis.
yeah,
Ford?
yeah.
Who? Phyllis, used to work under you.
Phyllis Bixby.
Oh, Phyllis Pickford.
I couldn't remember her
She
last
gave
name.
them permission to cut the trails in there. So they're waiting to see what you guys, so they like it because it keeps the kids off the road. So they kind of like to continue, they have a modified, it's not, I didn't, because I was out, we did a lot of prep today. But, they have a modified, it's not like the same one that I have from the old picture. They cut less, but they still have a trail in there. I've told them that they've used theirs, ours down here, I've told them anytime they want, they can use them, and if they let us know, we'll even clear it out for them a little better if they need it.
What's that?
Because they run sometimes through our trails back here.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a quick ways from the high school.
Yeah, well, the track team, it's one of those sports where you don't have to hit anything and throw anything, but you gotta run long distances.
Yeah, cross country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So technically, we gave them permission to do it, so.
yeah, but those didn't tell anybody, so they know that it's an issue, so they're waiting. And then whatever you guys decide, if you don't want them cutting it in there anymore, I'll tell them, but.
Now, I think that they should, if they're gonna cut a path in there, that they should just cut it so that it's not right through the middle of the hayfield and screwing up the hayfield. It's off to the edge or something like that, you know, we can work out something with them, but,
Yeah.
you know, you don't want them
I'll bring up
to
the.
cut a nest down the middle of it or
Right,
something,
the
you
next
know?
meeting, I'll have the picture up and loaded. Right.
I don't have a problem with doing both at the same time, you know, putting it around the edge, but let's just find out what the issue is. And the update on the replacement well, the replacement well's going out to bid this Thursday at 2 o'clock, right?
Yep.
And that's probably the only update you got, or you got something else?
No, on that, that's it. But somebody did come with a pull down, but it required water, so I didn't really understand it. So rather than modify the bids, and there was only a few days left in the bids, they kept the bid the way they were for the spec. There's no
Some-
hammer downs, it's just,
Somebody's is bidding them with a pull down?
well, they wanted to, but it had something to do with keeping a head of water on it and stuff. I didn't understand it, and I don't think they really understood it either. But they called it the pull down method, but it kept water head on it. And I didn't understand that, because if you're putting things, some boring bit down through sand and you got water behind it, wouldn't the bankings be collapsing behind it?
I never saw that before. Well, I've seen, what they do is they use cable, pulleys with cables.
Yeah, they
And-
specifically
and
called
when they-
it the pull down.
When their
method.
machine pulls up on the cables, it slices that thing right down.
Yeah, I don't know, so they didn't modify the bid, because I think they had enough as it was, so.
Huh. Well, we'll have to wait and see Thursday what, we'll ask them when they're making their bids, what their method is. Tom, you gonna try to make that, bid
No.
opening?
When is it?
Thursday at 2 o'clock,
No, Wednesday.
Wednesday, so,
Where is it?
right here,
This Wednesday?
yeah.
2 o'clock, Wednesday, 2 o'clock?
We didn't post a meeting, but I think one of us should be here, so,
I might be able to break free and be here.
you might be able to. All right.
Why, nobody else is available?
Well, I can, but only one of us really can be here, because we didn't post a meeting, but if you're gonna be here, I won't show up.
You're not available.
He's not available, he wants to work. Depends what, you know,
Yeah, what do you think, an hour or so?
yeah, probably take an hour.
Yeah, I can't see it, usually they open them up.
Yeah, I could be here for Wednesday, 2 o'clock, I can make it happen.
Okay, then I won't plan on being here, so. If something comes up, Tom, and you can't make it,
I'll let him know.
just let Kerry know, and she can get a hold of me and let me know that nobody's coming, I'll swing by.
I'll put it on my calendar right now. That's the 18th, correct?
Yep. Update on water permit?
So I just received the draft for review, actually just a short time ago. I didn't have time to read it through, because you gotta pay attention to what they're saying, and there are special conditions, most of the special conditions don't affect us. There was just one about having townwide leak detection done every, like 1 to 3 years. Which probably can't hurt us. But I didn't see anything glaring, but like I said, I didn't have time to print it out and sit there and read it line by line.
Just came in today.
Yeah.
So how long do you have to respond?
I think there's a 30-day thing, so, you know, I'll look at it tomorrow, if I see anything glaring, I'll let this all know.
are they reducing it very much?
I think we already, I'm looking to see, whatever we sent in, we had already agreed to a reduction, so I'll look to make sure that they haven't tried to reduce it further. Because I just saw other verbiage, how we'd never used whatever we had, hadn't used whatever we had, that kept going on and on about that. I'm like, well, that's a good thing, that means we're being proactive.
Right, exactly.
But they don't look at it that way.
I know.
They hit you for it either way.
Right.
We were always ahead of their conservation measures and metering all the blow-offs and everything. Years ago, we started that long before they suggested it, you know?
Right.
And then when you, I don't know, they penalize you in the end for being ahead of things.
Right.
It's like the old meter replacement program. I asked them why we couldn't get a grant. It was because we had meters. They're supplying meters, they're helping people who don't have any meters at all. And I said, that means that, they never spent any money and kept their system up. And they go, yeah, we gotta help them first. No. Our meters are 100 years old and we need help replacing 100-year-old meters. At least we were trying. We bought them used for Brockton and they penalized us for it. Yeah. Update on the new water source, or they do anything on
No,
that?
I haven't heard anything on that.
No.
Who was our contact now?
With
Now that, what's his name?
James Hoyt.
Was it James Hoyt?
Yeah.
Have we even met him?
I don't know if you guys have.
What was the guy we had before?
Patrick.
Patrick was great.
Yeah.
Whatever happened to Patrick?
I don't know, we kind of just, I haven't heard anything more out of him either. I don't know what happened.
Weird.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything.
And they haven't had, because he was the head of the, I forget what it was, why he was head of one of the things.
Was it Public Waterworks?
Yeah, it could have been, but we've never had a meeting, so I can't see him to ask him like. what the heck
Yeah,
happened.
right. Weird.
And so now we have James Hoyt?
Yeah,
I didn't think I've met him,
no, because most of it's been done. So
So
you'll
we're
probably meet.
paying all these bills, but we don't get much,
Yeah, if you're here Wednesday, then you'll meet him.
yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Asset management grant. I signed the asset management grant. I think everybody, did you put copies of that grant on everybody's?
I did not, I just put them right there.
I had to sign that, that's for the asset management grant. I did it electronically, so. Then we'll pass it over to you, so you can take a look at it. And I believe the town hall treasurer collector, he signed it too. They sent it to him, he had to sign it. The PFAS testing.
All right, so I haven't, mainly just came back online, but we went, I had to test it first, so we passed our test and the KOH pump burnt out, so we had to replace that and scale it. But today we had many other things going on, so we didn't get up there to take care of that. But once I'm sure that it's up and running, then I'll call them and tell them to send out the samples before, because the VFD drives have come in, or came in for Norman Ave. So before they take that down, I need to get the samples in.
Right.
You know when they're planning to do the VFDs?
He hasn't said, I told him to get in contact with, instrumentation guy, because we have to remove the, Barco valve system out of it, so it needs a little tweaking.
Any other questions on that, how that's going? Water labor position, update.
Well, if you want to cook, truck driver, delivery guy, you're all set. A liberal arts person, yep, we've got plenty of them. I knew before the thing went out what was gonna happen, because I'd seen it in the 2 previous postings, the exact same people all applied again, and it's the same. I don't know where all the mechanical, electrical, all those other degrees are, because all I got was liberal arts. I don't know if anybody saw, I've gone through them all. I mean, I kind of half circled, there was nobody that stood up and said, that's the guy.
There was one guy from another water department.
I saw, so there's
There
one,
was one guy from another town DPW. There were a few guys that at least worked with contractors,
so I saw,
What
like,
contract is that?
like utility contractors. There was a few, but not many.
there weren't, it was some pickings, like the one guy from another water department, I don't think he's employed there anymore.
Oh. That's a problem.
Yeah, it looked like it was right up until now or just a little while ago.
Right. So, I mean, it could be a tough time to work, but it's hard to tell without reaching out. And I don't really know anybody in that town.
But at least there's, something there to make it worth maybe talking to.
Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, there was some, most of them were just.
Did we get
Well,
an email to us? Because I don't remember seeing them.
Oh, I don't know.
They're all right here.
Yeah, Harry emailed them to us on Friday?
Well, I emailed, as she sent them, I made them group, there's 6 different groups. I think I had the first 3 before when you were here, and then, like, I named them all, so I can send them all. But I definitely sent them both to both.
We did.
Yeah, because I got them.
And I sent them in PDF, because I know sometimes you have a hard time.
Yeah, I need PDF, yeah.
Yeah, I sent them that way.
Oh,
That's,
I'll have to look for it, then. I must have missed it.
And I noticed the ones that come from Indeed, a lot of them, at the very bottom of the last page, they have like this little code thing that goes across. And a bunch of them, like the cooks,
Yeah,
said right on it, probably not qualified.
Right.
So they already know before it even goes out. They just sending them out to send out numbers.
right.
and that's what happened when we sent them to, same type of thing.
But at least, we have a few that maybe we can come up with
Yeah, I-
somebody out of. There were a few people that had electrical in school.
Yeah, I looked, and then, but you have to look at distance too, because you're looking for response time.
Yeah,
That's what I gotta ask you, where was that, how far away was that one that had experience in water?
I think he was right from the town that he was, it
yeah.
was close. He
He's
was,
a couple towns over.
Yeah,
I don't want to
it's
say
not
the town.
Yeah,
Right.
a couple towns away.
yeah, he's not that bad.
Okay.
And depending on when some of the other towns are, there's a bunch of people from Taunton, that can be 15 minutes or 45, depending on where it's.
Right.
But,
Yeah.
I mean, that's something, again, we can talk to them about.
Right.
I didn't see any from all that far away, but.
We didn't look at the Boston ones or the.
Well, actually, most of those that I remember anyway were just
Yeah.
right off. The ones that I was thinking were a little more
Yeah.
possible. I don't think they
I
were.
forget, there was somebody from another state too.
Well, there was someone from Connecticut. There was someone that was working in Connecticut.
Yeah.
They showed their address. I don't know, they were either at Taunton or at Boston.
Yeah. I mean, if they wanted to replace Ed Sorrow, I saw like 3 or 4 in here that were
Yeah.
just kind of jip up.
No, there was a lot of that. So we're gonna try to get a short list down and get them in, and we'll go from there. So whoever you decide to pick 10 or so, I'll just email it through Gary.
Yeah.
And maybe we can hire somebody eventually.
Well, I think that's the end of the agenda that we had. Has anybody got anything else that they want to discuss that we can discuss?
Anything been done about the water tank on Walnut Street yet?
So we flooded the water tank to try to, so that I could have it leaking when the contractor came to look at it.
Yeah.
It didn't leak. So I'm thinking it's probably the flange may need to be tightened, but we can't, there's no way for us personally to get out there without renting a lift to go in there and get us up to it. but there's another issue arose, so it's not passing its bacteria test. So the good thing is it's offline, so it didn't count against us, but the bacteria count out of the tank is so high, they can't even count it. So when we've done the UV light before, there's black sludge in the bottom of that pipe. That water is stagnant. We're only using 18 inches of water out of that tank, or it varies 18 inches daily. So it's stagnant. I can't chlorinate it because then I'll create DSBs, which are carcinogenic. So there's no place, the only other thing would be to try to drain the tank out, to flush, maybe try to flush that sludge out of the pipe. But it's gonna come back again. But because that guy who redid the house and removed those sump pumps, I don't wanna go over to that storm drain either. I think before we had to tie a pipe in and then run out fire hoses all connected together to drain the tank.
Yeah, there's no real place to drain that tank.
No, part of the farms was supposed to be, but it never happened. They didn't force it in. They were supposed to tie the drainage swale in the back into the drain system or run a pipe down along the back, and it never happened.
Really?
And don't we have a device in it that stirs it up in the top?
No, well, it's not, they're called Tide Flex mixers, so they don't stir it up, but when it goes in, it's like a duckbill, so it kind of sprays it in.
It goes
So
in at
it's
the
not
top.
filled.
Brings it in
Yeah,
at
it
different
goes out on the
levels.
bottom.
But I thought the 5 million gallon tank, we put something in that actually does.
No, those are Tide Flex mixers also.
Oh, we
They're
do the
just
same
duck-billed
thing?
so that it goes in up in the
So
top.
it introduces at different levels to mix it around?
Yeah,
Right.
yep.
Because they used to just come in the hole in the bottom and go out the hole in the bottom. It went in and out,
Right,
that's
right.
it. So they put this pipe up with duckbills like on it.
And it does work, I mean, because we fail in the summer, usually towards the end of the summer, if I don't raise the chlorine level up a lot, we fail, because it used to be, you'd go up to the tank and you'd see the first 15 feet would be cold sweat. And that's where the water coming in and going out would be, and that's where you're sampling, so you'd have no issues. But now, it doesn't sweat as much, because it's mixed.
So you're getting bad bacteria, real bad bacteria counts out of
Oh,
that tank. And you had to shut the tank completely off?
Well, we did because of the leak, but now, because we sampled while it was off, that's a good thing, I didn't get hit with a level 2 assessment.
You think part of the problem is because we had it offline?
No, we don't, we only used 18 inches of water out of, it probably only fills to about 700,000 gallons instead of 1 million. And you're only varying by 18 inches, so you might be using 50,000 gallons.
So when the town uses water, we're taking it out of the 5 million gallon tank and the 500,000 gallon tank. It's
Yeah.
not, it never comes out of that tank.
No. It's not up high, it doesn't fill high enough to bring it out, I think.
It should be the same level.
Yeah, but it's not.
I think they were off on the height or
They
something.
didn't, well, they didn't take into account the hydraulic.
Because
Hydraulics
we
of the
can't
system
even use,
getting there.
we can't even use the whole height of that tank, or it'd be coming out of the 5 million gallon.
Right. It comes out the 5 million gallon tank, out the overflow.
I think they were off on the elevation.
So it should have been shorter. They
That's
made
too
that
easy
one.
to check.
The old tank, the overflow is, the 5 million is 106 feet. And this one was down at 90 feet. And they said the overflow should have been the same height, the same elevation, because that was higher ground on Walnut Street. But we found out that the overflow, I think the tank should have been closer to 80 feet high, not 90 feet high. The engineering.
I remember something at the end, and when we started using it, didn't make sense,
Right.
like they were off, something was off. That's all.
So it sounds to me like we got a big problem if we got bacteria growing in it and the water's not exchanging, it's not going in, it's not going out.
Right.
And I would think it would go out when the industrial customers are using it on Manley Street.
They don't use much water.
Well, there's nobody,
That's
They
true.
don't use
most
any.
of the industrial doesn't use, the residents are what really uses the water in town. It's not the industrial.
Those industrial buildings aren't using any water.
No, we
Main
don't
Street
have
wells
any.
are on, they're holding that tank up too, because they're right there.
They're using it before it gets to the tank?
Well, no, yeah, Manley Street's pushing in, they don't need to take water out of the tank. Manley Street's
Right.
pushing more water in than.
What if we shut down the 5 million this time of year and let the
Well, you have to shut down the 5 and the,
And the,
Yeah, we still can't separate those two.
well, you'd have to shut them both off, because they're both at the same elevation, so.
we couldn't isolate the 5 million and run off the 500,000 and the new tank?
No, because if you'd overflow the 500,000 gallon tank.
I'm sorry, say that again? It would overflow
Yeah.
I think that what we probably should do is get an engineer in there and find out exactly what happened. We definitely have a problem. We can't fill the tank to the overflow because it overflows the other tanks first. And we need to figure out what we can do about it. So, have somebody give us a price on figuring out exactly what went wrong.
Well, we can ask them on Wednesday.
Okay.
Who did?
Ask them on Wednesday.
Taylor and Howard.
I
No,
wasn't-
they didn't do it. It was,
I didn't feel good about it when we were all done, we
George
started
and-
using it.
Yeah.
Something was off.
I think something's off.
And when they, don't forget, they put that valve down below and you were supposed to be able to adjust it. But their feeling was that they probably built it too short and it was going to come out Walnut Street before it came out the 5 million. So we were supposed to be able to adjust that valve so that we could fill the 5 million gallon tank all the way up. But it worked just the opposite.
This shouldn't even be an issue, engineering issue, should it?
The only issue usually you have is there's not enough pipe capacity for the two tanks to flow. So you're pumping from here past Spring Street
Yeah.
to get to Walnut Street. Even when Manly's on, Manly doesn't put out
No,
that much water. So for you to get to Walnut Street, you have to get higher up than the tanks on Spring Street. Because if you don't, it just evens out. It's gonna keep spilling over out of those tanks. You can never push the water any higher going to the other side.
So
We did-
because it's pushing it so far, it's gonna overfill.
It's trying to push it, you got an open tank here, an open tank over here. Well, if the water's coming from here, if you can't stop it from overflowing this tank, you'll never fill the other one.
You'll never fill the one further away.
No, I did a 100-foot tall tank up in Attleboro.
So-
we had to put a 16-inch main all the way around to get water, because otherwise, the same thing, they had 2 tanks you can see off 95. Those would overflow before we could get water to it. So we had to put altitude valves on those 2 tanks and run a pipe.
We have a
pipe
16 all the
around.
way up to West Street.
Yeah.
Then we go with a 12 all the way up into that tank.
But you still need something to stop the water from overflowing out of those 2 other tanks.
So
you
we
would never-
need altitude valves on the 5 million gallon tank, probably. They put it on the Walnut Street tank, they should have put it
Yeah,
on
they
the
should have put
other
it
tank.
on the other tanks.
Yeah,
Because then those that shut off, you'd fill up Walnut, then you shut down and all the tanks come down together.
That's, I remember we talked about an altitude valve, remember?
Yeah, it was gonna cost somewhere around,
Bunch of
hopefully
money.
about $750,000.
That seems way too high. You know, that's what they gave us.
But it may, after we invested $3 million in the water tank, and you got bacteria problems in it, and the industrial customers need it for their fire protection, we may have to bite the bullet and put the altitude valves so that that tank is doing what it's supposed to be doing. You know, we just,
How long was Walnut Street shut down?
It was only like a week.
So not enough that it should have.
No, it shouldn't have gone south that fast.
But we didn't have a problem last time we sampled it.
We've had issues, it's taken hits before.
How did you fix it?
Well, you just keep resampling till you get past it. It's not, that, you can stream chlorine in there, but you're just masking the problem. And if the chlorine gets in there and it sits too long, then it creates other issues. They're far more worse than the bacteria.
And the UV light's not solving the problem?
Well, if I sample out of the UV light, it'll cure the problem, but that you can't, that's not, it's incorrect sampling.
No, but it should kill anything going in,
Yeah,
right? So if
Yeah.
that's,
Well, yeah, the UV light hits the water going in, it hits the water going out, hits it going both ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why it would be, it should have killed the bacteria if it went in, and now it's reproducing and growing in there. Well,
Yeah, there shouldn't be anything.
shouldn't be any.
So you have to test it before the outgo through the UV light.
Yeah.
Need to have an engineer look at the valve, at the altitude valve situation and the bacteria problem, and see if we can come up with a solution, because something's not right. I don't know, I don't have the answer for that, but somebody must.
Or the part of it, we're just not using enough out of that tank, huh?
Yeah.
Not cycling it.
Right.
Well, but it should help doing it the way it's going in and mixing too. We should be getting,
Right, but if you have enough flow, then you wouldn't have sludge building up in the pipe.
Yeah.
It would self-clean itself.
Can you flush up there somehow?
I have to look, I
And introduce
I'll have to see if I can
water?
get into the farm storm drain system and dump it out that way, because I can't go the other way anymore, because I don't think the DPW ever fixed the collapsed storm drain. So if I dump it in that one, it's gonna flood that guy's
Well,
house.
why don't we get to the bottom of that and fix that, then that's part of our problem flushing up there, even if we have to do it.
Well, I can't, it's in yards now, it's.
But even still, I mean, we'll make an agreement with them or
do
something.
we have a hydrant further down the road somewhere that we could maybe shut off?
Well, I can't, I've gotta take it out of the tank, I can't.
No, that's right, because if you let it.
Because now you're on farm, you've got everything.
Never mind, yeah.
So whatever that, I don't know much about that drain, I don't remember it being an issue, but if we fix that, and it drains between two houses there towards 24, I mean, once we get it past the people's yard, I can't imagine we have any problem running water out there.
Right, you'd probably have to dig up and rerun the pipe out. But when the guy did his yard, the new house, it probably crushed the whole thing all the way out. Or they might have even dug it out, saw it, and like, what the hell is this, and got rid of it.
Shouldn't we look into getting that? I mean, that's our only option, really.
But it's
You're
not
not gonna get it to
our pipe
run
either.
towards the farm.
No.
Well, I'm
that's
not sure, but that might be on the other side, look, like the farm didn't exist before. I'd have to look again to see where that storm drain was, but, I mean, we used to literally run, you know, a lot of fire hose over to it.
Is it on?
But it might be on the other side of the farm now, so it might be easier for me to get into their drain system.
Is
I
it on
might
the
be able to dump
GIS?
it that way.
You think the farm subdivision drains across Walnut Street?
No, it goes backwards.
Goes down towards the pond.
Yeah,
Towards West Mile?
yeah.
But they were supposed to hook our ponds into it, and make the drainage system?
Well, we have requested it, but I don't think the planning board ever got it in writing.
All right.
It was verbally mentioned at several of the meetings, but it never got into writing, and they're having all sorts of issues with him anyway, so.
What, planning board?
No, the farms, they're trying to close that out. Nobody's really happy, because the brother got sick and stepped out, and so the money brother took over and,
Cut corners.
oh yeah.
Is that drain line on the GIS that we're talking about?
Yeah, it is. I don't know if
You wanna just do a little research before the next meeting on that?
Yep,
I mean, is that something we should look into, getting back online somehow, or
we can if we can get permission from the neighbors to put the pipe back in.
Yeah.
does it sound like our best option? I don't know, I mean, what are
Well,
we?
let me look at.
I don't know how those drains even work anymore, because I can remember putting the water in the catch basin, and it went in the guy's cellar, because it went down the drain so far, and then it didn't go, I guess they
Somebody
plugged it up.
probably plugged up the end of the drain,
Yeah,
and
they
thrown it
did.
out there, and then somebody else probably had their sump line tied into it, and
Yeah. Yeah, you got it.
I'll look before the next meeting.
and if we do something, try to make it beneficial to the neighbors too somehow, but
I don't know how,
if we
much-
need it that bad. you know?
I don't understand where the stormwater goes, like the rain they had last night, where, it goes in that catch basin.
Yeah, I never understood that, but he sure called right, well, when he was complaining, I think it was raining the first night when we began draining the tank. And then he was pleading with us to shut it off.
Which neighbor was it that had the problem up there?
I think the father died, so the kids were.
So it was Murad, was it Murad's?
It might have been, he's
Yes.
like to the right of
So
it.
I'm sure they tied something into that drain line, so they're always digging around there. So,
Well, there was a new house built beside
and
him.
I know the guy that's in that house now, so
Yeah.
I know all of them.
Yeah, he rehabbed it a lot.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of went right down the property line, didn't it? Between the two
Yeah, it was
houses?
supposed to be between the two.
Yeah.
Did we like have an easement? Was it
I don't-
actually, or just was there?
I think it was just there. And then when they built the new house, I think they probably squashed it.
Maybe we can look into it, we'll have a couple receptive neighbors and we get the line working again. It's gonna benefit everybody. I would think.
Yeah, I would think it would. Better
Even if
for
we gotta
them,
run a
the
new
town.
drain line, we run a
Yeah.
couple hundred feet of drain line. 'Cause
Yeah.
if we need to drain that tank, we need to drain it. I don't know where we're gonna do it, we're gonna have more problems if we don't have a good drain line to get the water up behind those houses.
All right, so do a little research.
The town just took over the Pro Road, run a bunch of fire hose over the Pro, because their drains all go down the bottom.
So you can
Yeah.
put that discussion on next meeting's agenda, okay?
Well, that's
Cory?
why when they were building the farm, I started saying something because Pearl Road was finished and there was no place the thing is right up against Pearl Road. It's
Well,
gonna
that's
flood
why-
out like 4 backyards.
Are we getting plans, I keep asking this, I mean, when a subdivision goes in, do we get a copy so we can comment? Because that's where we should have sent comments to the planning board, said this is what we need.
Yeah, we did, and at that time, we did send comments, and then but it just never got verbally written
And
in.
then we gotta follow up and pay attention when they do it, make sure it gets
Right.
done and tell the planning board.
Have
so
the
it's done.
final one come back to us or something, so
Yeah.
that we can see if the comments are.
But are we getting plans, are we getting,
Yeah.
we don't see much, I mean, do they just come in and we don't see them, or
Most of them, there aren't any big subdivisions anymore, they're smaller stuff.
even small ones, we should, do anything that comes in, we should be looking at, if there's any kind of water issues.
If we ever had that overflow, that just goes into that little pond, that
Swale.
it's little kind of
Walnut Street?
Walnut Street.
There was a riprap area they made for us, but.
Yeah, but it's only as big as this room.
It's not
It
big.
doesn't go-
It's not very big, it's not gonna hold
It's
very
just an
many.
overflow, it wasn't meant to drain the tank, I don't.
Right,
No.
but if you haven't got an overflow and somebody didn't catch it for an hour or so, that water is gonna overflow that little pond because it doesn't have a drain to
Oh,
go
yeah.
anywhere. It's just gonna go
It's going
through
Pearl
somebody's
Road.
house.
Right, it's going through like 4,
4 yards.
yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have the danger before because if it overflowed, it was gonna go through the hayfield.
Right.
And so there wasn't a concern, but now,
Well,
with subdivisions on either side, that's a problem.
are they talking about getting ready to accept that subdivision or something? Maybe we should speak up and see if
They
there's
are
something.
trying to get it.
Was there
done.
something on the plan that didn't get built?
I don't think it never made it to the plan.
Maybe you ought to just ask them and
Can you talk to Hugh? Talk
I
to
can
Hugh?
ask you if we can try to force it in.
Or no, just see if it was on there and they didn't build it.
Right.
Yeah, if it's on there and they didn't put it in, maybe that,
I did ask him at one time, and I think it came back that it wasn't on there.
Can you follow up on that too with Hugh?
Yeah.
I would think if Hugh knew we needed it, he would have followed through with it and, made sure it got on the plan.
Because that-
If he could, maybe they couldn't make him do it, I don't know.
Right.
but that would be better for that whole neighborhood, that whole section up there, if we could, when that water goes into that pond in the back of our place, it goes into their drainage system and goes out the back. It wouldn't have to go through their houses.
Right.
That's gonna be a problem. Anybody got anything else you wanna bring up?
The East Street court case, I got in contact with David and told him that, they should be asking for a dismissal because he's already lost this case twice. So the
No,
town
he won
council.
once.
What?
He did win.
Yeah. So the town council was supposed to be sending a motion to dismiss based on summary judgment, that He's already lost the case, he hasn't paid a dime towards what he owes us. So we'll wait and see what comes out of that one.
Anybody else falling way behind or anything that
Not that I know of.
paying the bills?
No, nobody's
Beacon
called.
used to be in it, no issue with Beacon, Carrie?
They pay full.
Oh, that's the, so, we were replacing another bad service up on Mill Pond. At the same time, we had our meters calibrated today. So when they were in Matfield Woods to calibrate the meter, the manhole thing on the top has sunk, so I'm gonna have to call them tomorrow and tell them they gotta fix that, but it cracked. So when they went to put the cover back on, the piece went in and hit the bypass and broke it, so we had to shut the park down for an hour. They were like mad hornets on us instantly. So we piecemealed that back together, but that meter is failed, it's no good.
How big is that meter?
That's 6 inch.
6 inch, and is that one of those fire meters?
Yep. There's no room in there, that meter is, because it's down at the floor level too, I don't think we can just replace it.
Why, so what are you gonna do? If you take it out, you can't drop a new one in there?
No, there's not much room either, it's tight. Because you have to be so many diameter, you can't change, so it's 8-inch pipes coming in. And you need X amount of diameters on either side of a meter for it to actually read correctly.
Right. We had that though.
Yeah, maybe the specs have changed by today's. Joe was supposed to be looking in to see if he can find us, Neptune has something that might do it. That's if we can retrofit it into that mess.
Okay.
But for now, they're back up and running. I'll tell them they gotta fix the top so that it doesn't cave in.
This is Beacon, right?
No, Matfield Woods.
Oh, Medfield Woods.
Deacon has the new vault and done
Yeah.
it properly.
Yeah, well, that's what I was talking about, because I remember we built that one.
Right. And that's what I have been working with,
The other one in Medfield Woods is very old.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it looks old.
So you're thinking we're gonna have to replace the wall with a new meter?
Yeah, and that's what I have been working for before, but I think, Charlie, whatever his name was, I'm not sure if he's passed, but the park is past hands. I think it's the kids own it now.
He did pass, and the kids own it. That's-
Civic, was that Civic Race?
Yeah, he was supposed to donate the land parcels on either side to us so that we could put a vault just to the side of it and pipe it up without disrupting the flow to the park. But something, towards the end, when it was supposed to pass, the road was part of the parcel, so they needed to separate that out. So I'm not sure whatever happened, it kind of died out.
Right.
I don't think they have an issue with us putting a vault over there. They don't do anything with the front land anyways, as long as we regraded it when we did it. But the current vault is not very big. I don't even think it's as long as this table. Shorter, it might be shorter than that.
And it's still filled with water like it used to?
Oh yeah, and the opening it's a 24-inch manhole cover that's set wrong, so you don't have a lot of space to get anything down into that hole.
Yeah, we used to have to pump all the water out of there, leak like a sieve.
Yeah, well, it leaked a lot too when it was broke.
Yeah, they cut corners when they put that thing in, that's for sure.
So that meter's not reading now?
It's not reading, it doesn't get accurate until it gets into the high flow range. He'll send me the things, but yeah, in the lower flow ranges, it doesn't even start turning, I think, until like around 10 gallons a minute.
Yeah, they're getting free water.
That part of what we're not registering, you think?
Yeah, well, it's part of it, yeah.
Well, you definitely need a new meter. And we're gonna have to put a pit in there.
Yeah, I mean, even if they have something you could kind of jury rig in, we want to spend the money on it, to jury rig it in, and we're gonna have to replace the wall anyway eventually. If it's that much of a mess, you can't work in it.
So it's 8-inch in and out?
Yeah, it's 8-inch and then it had,
Should that be our responsibility to put that vault in there? Shouldn't that be theirs? They own the water main.
I know, I'm not sure who, that's
Because
why.
they maintain the leaks and everything in there, we don't. That's their water meter. I can see us paying for the water meter, but the vault that it goes in, I would think that goes with the park.
I have no idea, so.
Now, he sold it, right?
Well, he didn't, he passed it to his kids.
Oh, to his kids?
Well, here's the thing, who put the vault in at Beacon?
They did. Oh, and Beacon, we did. Because there never was a vault there. There was a manhole, and there was a meter, a big
Yeah, it's like
4-inch
a-
meter, I'd say it was, and it was round. And it looked like a turtle. And then, we couldn't replace it, there was no such meter anymore. So what we did is we bought the vault, dug it out, placed the vault in there, and placed the meter in there. We put a fire meter in, and then we put a 1-inch meter around the side. And the way that works is the fire meter door doesn't open until there's like 100 gallons a minute going through it. And then if there's anything less than that, it goes through the 1-inch meter. And that, or 2-inch meter, is it?
No, it's a 1-inch.
1-inch. And that measures really accurately. But the thing is, I think that meter registered 1 million gallons, and
Oh, that's the
it would
first
last-
meter I've ever seen spun so much it actually broke the thing.
Yeah.
I've never seen that happen before,
On
except
that
that one.
1-inch meter, so it probably should have been like a 2 or 3 inch.
Yeah, it should have been a little bigger. But it was very accurate, but we could wear that meter out. We should have been replacing it every year with a
Every
brand new
year.
meter, because it would be worth it, because it generates so much money.
So we changed the vault at Beacon, that almost means we need to do the 1-inch. That almost sets precedent.
Yeah,
How big a deal would it be to change that vault?
Well, it's not, you just set one to the side, you wouldn't change it, you'd set it to the side, so we'd have to shut
Then
it
you have to
down
repipe it.
and tap in two
We
more
could
keys.
tie in a temporary pipe and then put it right back in the same spot.
No, there's no hydrants nearby to jump or do anything, so it's easier to put it to the side. If we did it, it's easier to put it to the side, tap in a new outlet coming off of the original pipe, and run it to the new vault, and then tap back in on the other side of the old vault to bring it back into the main. And then you could cut the other crap out and just use it as a bypass.
All right. Yeah, make sure that if you put a vault in there that it's dry, that the meter doesn't go underwater.
Well, the thing is, even if they own the vault, technically, it's your guys that have to go in
Right.
and do anything to the meters, so we want to make sure the vault is reasonable for them. We don't want to tell them to redo a vault, and it's,
Right,
turns out to be another mess. You need to have it done the way you want it,
right,
so you can maintain it.
yeah.
Yeah, remember the piece of pipe we had with a piece of glass on the bottom? We used to
Yeah.
try to read the meter
But through the water,
through the water. Otherwise, it'd take you half an hour, 45 minutes to pump the tank down, to get it down low enough so you could see it. Then we had to take the hose, when it was running water, the glass would be all covered with mud, so you had to spray water on it to clean it off. It was not a fun meter to read or anything. All right. Anything else? I hear a motion to adjourn.
Next meeting,
Oh, next meeting.
December 7th.
December 7th?
Mm-hmm.
Carrie, you don't have anything you want to bring up, do you?
No.
well, did you get a chance to look into that water use thing? Because we were gonna have the SCADA guy and the meter guy at the same time.
All right, so I looked, I took master meter readings like 6 or 7 months ago. And I read them just like a week ago, right after our last meeting. I everything was down in the morning, so I went out and read them all before everything came on.
Yep.
So their reporting is, it's fine, it's not affecting us. It's to our benefit to leave them alone.
So we're not losing the last time.
Right, it's not, they're not over-reporting.
All right, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.